The Golden Dome is the epitome of taxpayer waste. Expensive, unviable, and strategically counterproductive. From the beginning, the president has sold Golden Dome to taxpayers as an impenetrable shield against all missile threats. But the budget request explicitly contradicts this vision because it's a fantasy. It admits what we've known all along, that no missile defense system can reliably protect the United States from nuclear weapons. Less than perfect defenses against shorter range, conventional missiles have shown some utility, though the Iran war has underscored their limits when facing a sustained barrage. But when it comes to nuclear weapons, even one missile getting through would be catastrophic, and chances are many would get through in the event of a nuclear war. A leaky Golden Dome would defend the U.S. against nuclear weapons about as well as buying everyone in America a bulletproof vest. And it would cost a lot more. That's Gabe Murphy, policy analyst at Taxpayers for Common Sense, cutting through the vapor in April 2026. And he's not wrong. But he's also missing the point, because the Golden Dome was never just about defense. It's about the con. January 27, 2025. Donald Trump signs Executive Order 14,169, mandating the development of a next-generation missile defense shield. The name is deliberate, Golden Dome, evoking Israel's Iron Dome, suggesting impenetrability, suggesting safety, suggesting that the technology already exists and just needs scaling. It doesn't. The physics hasn't changed since Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative in 1983. Space-based interceptors are still theoretically possible and practically nightmarish. But Trump doesn't need physics. He needs the chase. May 20th, 2025. Trump stands in the White House before a map of his proposed system, declaring it will intercept very close to 100% of missiles fired from anywhere in the world. The camera catches him. The headlines run. The opposition gears up to debunk the science, to explain why boost phase intercepts from space is nearly impossible against modern countermeasures, why the cost would dwarf the Manhattan Project, why Reagan's own scientists admitted failure. While they're chasing the science, the machinery moves. Space Force General Michael Guetlein is appointed Direct Reporting Program Manager. Lockheed Martin establishes a command and control prototyping hub in Virginia. Anduril and Impulse Space are enlisted for the space-based interceptor technologies, the science fiction components that make headlines but remain years from operational reality. The Missile Defense Agency creates the SHIELD contracting vehicle and selects over 1,000 initial winners by December 2025. Apex, a satellite startup, announces a 2026 demonstration of an interceptor host platform called Orbital Magazine, investing $15 million to prove the enabling technology. The machinery is moving billions before the architecture is even defined. This is the flare. The 100% claim is the card flip. The opposition rushes to debunk, to explain, to educate the public on missile defense physics. Meanwhile, the reconciliation strategy locks in funding that bypasses standard Senate filibuster hurdles entirely. August 2025. The One Big Beautiful Bill passes with $23 billion for Golden Dome as a down payment. Not through regular appropriations, through reconciliation, simple majority, no debate, no amendments, no transparency. Congress complains they haven't seen a clear system architecture or comprehensive spending plan. The Pentagon keeps the details in closed briefings. The money flows anyway. By March 2026, Goodline announces the cost has jumped from $175 billion to $185 billion, citing acceleration of space capabilities. The hypersonic and ballistic tracking space sensor, the Space Force data transport layer, space-based air-moving target indicators, all moved to the left, meaning faster deployment, meaning more money now, meaning less time for oversight to catch up. $10 billion extra dollars to speed up capabilities that remain largely experimental. April 3rd, 2026, the White House releases its fiscal year 2027 budget request. $1.5 trillion for defense, a 44% increase, the largest one-year jump in U.S. history, exceeding even World War II peaks when adjusted for inflation. Todd Harrison of the American Enterprise Institute notes, this isn't a buildup like Reagan's, which showed steady increases over 5 years. This is a spike, a one-year surge designed to lock in funding before midterm elections potentially flip congressional control. Of that $1.5 trillion, $350 billion is requested through reconciliation, again bypassing standard process. And of the $17.5 billion requested specifically for Golden Dome in 2027, less than $400 million comes from the base Defense Department budget. The rest, $17.1 billion, hinges on another reconciliation bill. The White House openly admits this strategy. This administration has successfully shifted that paradigm by including a much-needed increase to defense spending in a reconciliation bill passed with only Republican votes, avoiding the traditional spending ratchet. The whole program is on unstable footing. If they have not been able to move the main funding lines into the base budget, because reconciliation is highly unlikely to continue beyond fiscal year 27. Then where does all the Golden Dome funding go in fiscal year 28? Harrison's question hangs unanswered. It doesn't matter. By fiscal year 2028, the contracts are signed. The contractors are entrenched. The architecture is too big to fail, regardless of which party controls Congress. Meanwhile, the opposition chases the wrong targets. They debate the physics of space-based interceptors. They cite the American Physical Society's February 2025 report, finding that space-based interceptors make even less sense now than in the 1980s. They warn that building the dome would incentivize adversaries to build more nuclear weapons to overwhelm defenses, achieving the opposite of arms race stability. They point out that the budget documents themselves now admit the goal is not to create a perfect defense, directly contradicting Trump's 100% claim. All true, all irrelevant, because while they debate physics, the machinery restructures federal spending permanently. The 2027 budget requests $18.8 billion for NASA, a 23% cut from 2026 levels. Earth science, planetary science, astrophysics, heliophysics, all targeted for $3.4 billion in cuts. The money shifts from exploration to militarization of space. A FAA gets a $481 million increase, partially to support commercial space operations. meaning SpaceX and other contractors can launch more defense payloads faster. The Defense Production Act, previously a niche tool, gets a $30 billion surge, a nearly 100-fold increase to expand the defense industrial base directly. The Pentagon's Defense Autonomous Warfare Group, virtually unknown in 2025, sees its budget explode from $225 million to $54.6 billion in 2027. This is the real play. The Golden Dome is the flare that justifies the largest military budget in human history. The 100% claim is the card that doesn't exist. The opposition bets their last dollar debunking it, while the reconciliation strategy moves the actual money through channels they can't block. The technical challenges are real, and they are being ignored. Fusing various systems into a single seamless dome requires integrating Aegis, Patriot, THAAD, and experimental space-based interceptors into a coherent command and control architecture that doesn't currently exist. Artificial intelligence tools are central to managing the complexity. Sensor fusion, trajectory prediction, engagement sequencing, but validating performance, ensuring cyber resilience, and preserving human oversight in high-consequence decisions remains unresolved. The Space Development Agency's proliferated warfighter space architecture requires thousands of networked satellites and interceptors, with unit costs ranging from $6 million to $10 million per platform, not including the interceptors themselves. One Apex Comet spacecraft can carry up to 6 interceptors. The constellation could require thousands. The math is astronomical, and it is being deliberately obscured. Organizational factors matter as much as software. Service stovepipes, unclear mission ownership, cultural resistance between branches, all threaten to fragment the architecture even if the technology works. A technically elegant system fails if bureaucratic fragmentation prevents unified operational concepts and funding alignment. The Pentagon's own history suggests this fragmentation is inevitable, not solvable. The offensive capability is buried in the defensive promise. Pentagon leaders have openly stated the system could put offensive weapons in space, creating global strike capability. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth: "We will be able to strike anywhere, anytime." Satellites might carry the common hypersonic glide body, capable of flying 1,000 miles to strike within 14 inches of its target, compactly racked in satellite payload bays. The Golden Dome is sold as a shield. The architecture includes a sword. Senator Patty Murray, the Senate's top Democratic appropriator, calls the overall budget request morally corrupt. She notes the president is sending service members into harm's way in reckless foreign wars, and who woke up one day and decided to send his aides scrambling to figure out how on earth they could spend $500 billion more, which the Pentagon can't possibly spend responsibly. Her outrage is correct, and it is already too late. The reconciliation strategy doesn't require her vote. It doesn't require debate. It requires only that the opposition stay distracted by the flare long enough for the money to move. The Iran war, ongoing as of April 2026, underscores the limits of missile defense when facing sustained barrages. The Golden Dome's layered approach boosts phase intercept from space, mid-course from ground-based systems, terminal phase from regional defenses, assumes perfect coordination against limited strikes. It assumes adversaries won't simply overwhelm the system with numbers. It assumes the space-based components, which don't exist yet, will work perfectly on first deployment. These assumptions are not engineering. They are theology. Yet the machinery grinds forward. Initial components, upgraded C-2, B, MC, and next-generation interceptor systems are pushed for deployment by end of 2027. Space-based kinetic interceptor testing is accelerated with $10 billion in additional funding. The goal remains 2029 for full operational status, though what operational means has already shifted from 100% effective to increasingly effective shield to not perfect, but better than nothing. The goalposts move with the money. The contractors are entrenched. Lockheed Martin is the primary integrator for the digital backbone, rapidly increasing production capacity across missiles, sensors, battle management systems, and satellite integration. Northrop Grumman is already testing space-based interceptors on the ground and providing high-fidelity operational analysis to shape Pentagon requirements. SpaceX, through its Starship heavy lift vehicle, is positioned to reduce launch costs for the massive constellation required if Starship enters service reliably, which remains unproven. The industrial base is being rebuilt around this single program, creating constituencies that will outlast any administration. The oversight is theater. Congress added new requirements to the FY 2026 defense bill, complaining about lack of transparency. Getline responds, I have personally briefed all 6 committees numerous times on everything that we're doing on Golden Dome, to include the detailed cost. The funding flows, the briefings happen, the architecture remains classified, the spending plan remains fragmented across reconciliation and base budget lines, deliberately obscuring the total cost. The strategic consequences are destabilizing. The Brookings Institution and other analysts warned that space-based interceptors could trigger a new arms race. China and Russia, seeing the U.S. deploy weapons in space, accelerate their own counter-space capabilities. The 2026 Global Counter-Space Capabilities Report documents continued development of anti-satellite weapons by 13 countries. The U.S. releases policies emphasizing dynamic space operations, euphemism for offensive capability. The dome doesn't exist yet, and already the space domain is being weaponized in anticipation. This is the anatomy of the Golden Dome hustle. The flare is the 100% claim, the Israel comparison, the promise of impenetrable safety. The chase is the opposition debunking physics, citing studies, explaining why it can't work. The real play is the permanent restructuring of federal spending, the bypassing of congressional oversight, the creation of a military-industrial constituency that will demand funding regardless of strategic value. The weaponization of space before the defensive shield is proven. The Golden Dome isn't a shield. It's $185 billion worth of vapor, billed at $17.5 billion per year, accelerating toward a finish line that moves faster than the technology. The meter runs, the dome doesn't close, and the reconciliation strategy keeps it all off the books. By 2029, you'll have paid for a sky full of promises. What you'll get is a receipt. Until next time.